Yo, what up, YouTube? My name is Marcus, and this is my journey with the X-T5. I started out with the Canon 2000D. It was a DSLR. It's comparable to the American product number of a 7D. And I had like T3Is and things like that previously, DSLRs. And coming into this photography journey, I was on that camera for maybe like a year before I just said, hey man, like I want a mirrorless. I want to do what at the time I thought was like, hey, this is what the big boys are doing. And yeah, I just wanted a mirrorless camera. I wanted to be able to look in the camera and see what I was shooting and see in real time what was happening. At the time, I think that was just the best choice for me. Like I said, having used DSLRs for so many previous years, so around March 2023, I went on Autorama and I purchased this Fuji X-T5. I think once it arrived, I went to Best Buy and I actually ended up getting this 35 millimeter f2 lens. And this was just my setup. This was my only setup for a while. I originally went on to buy the 50 millimeter, I believe, and I ended up buying a 16 millimeter, which I ended up using for a long time as well. The 50 millimeter, not as much. Since that time, I've also gotten a 56, and most recently, I ended up getting a 33 f1.4, which for some reason I still can't let go of the 35 millimeter f2. But when it comes to just other work, I end up using the 33 millimeter. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of how my journey started. I used this camera every day. Photo walks, trips, vacations, travel, work, everything. This is my everyday carry up until the point of most recently, I started getting a couple film cameras and I tried the XE1 because I just wanted something maybe a little bit more pocketable. Even though coming from a DSLR to this was like, oh man, like this is super compact compared to a DSLR. But of course, once you have this for a while, it's like, oh man, there's actually cameras that are less compact or more compact than this. So yeah, I pretty much go out and I've shot um, maybe 2 to 3 times a week for like the past 2 years almost. So immediately off the rip, I could see that the autofocus was definitely different. I mean, and maybe it's not even fair to compare the two. And if you ever like had that situation as a kid when your mother would say, hey, you have to buy 2 shoes up or 2 shoe sizes up. Say for instance, you're supposed to have a size 7 and your mother buys you a size 8.5 for you to grow into. I kind of feel like this camera was the camera for me to grow into, and I'm still growing with this camera. Most recently, if you guys know, I bought the XM5, but that's just for my video content work. Photo wise, the X-T5 is really just my go-to camera. I stay with the 33 millimeter. That's like when it comes to just when I want to have more of a compact travel setup, I'll take the 35 millimeter with me. When I'm going and I'm taking portraits of somebody, I'll take the 33 millimeter with me. Normally, if I'm shooting like product photography or something like that, I will use the 56 millimeter. But outside of that, I've had the 50 to 230 XC zoom. I didn't really like it, or maybe I just didn't know how to get clear cut pictures with it. I've had the 16 millimeter, which was like my second baby for a while because that's a little bit smaller than the 35 millimeter, super wide, and I could just catch more of a scene with it. I've tried the 14 millimeter. It was a little bit older, so it just didn't really work for me in that aspect. Like even right now, I have the 18 millimeter and I'm thinking about swapping that out for something, or if I can find something comparable, or even I sold a 16 millimeter, but now I'm kind of thinking like, man, maybe I shouldn't have sold it. Just because the autofocus on 18. The 18 millimeter is a pancake, and it's a little bit smaller, but it's also like, it just like you can hear it so much going in and out, trying to autofocus and catch up on things. It took a while for me to get used to all the knobs, but now whenever I pick up another camera, I feel, what's the word? I feel lost when I'm not having to tweak knobs at the top, or when I have to go into the camera and tweak the knobs. Like, this is almost like a crutch for me now, like to just have the ISO, switch to movie, if I want to switch brackets, and then you have like all of the features in the back as well. Um, for so long, I never used the viewfinder. You know, I'm just shooting straight off a screen. But I began to also realize like that was like a mental crutch as well, because once you begin to use the viewfinder, it almost kind of like locks you in just a little bit more. But that's why the XM5 really isn't a problem for me as well, because I'm so used to only using a viewfinder. Another thing is just the aperture ring. You know, like, once again, like I get on other cameras and I'm just like, bro, what is going on? I get on older cameras and I'm just like, where's my aperture at? Or, oh, okay, it's this button, compared to it just being a sliding ring. That's something that definitely has been a crutch for me. In reality, this is just something that just complements me as a photographer. Of course, all of these pictures that I'm showing are consist of me learning, you know. But when it comes to the quality of the colors and things like that, you know, I can attribute that to the camera. Of course, there are certain things that I do, but sometimes, a lot of times, man, a lot of stuff that I upload onto Instagram, I'm literally just pulling it off the camera and just slapping it up. You know, like I don't even really try to edit it much. I might tweak like a black or something like that, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not going through and doing full edits. Of course, this isn't the end of my journey. I'm going to continue to grow, take classes, read books, and other things like that. But it's always good to have a reference point from where you came from to where you're at now. And I hope that this helped you guys. So if it did, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, do whatever you need to do. And peace.